Hello students and viewers, we meet again. Hope you are all hale and healthy. We know still we are struggling to get rid of the clutches of pandemic COVID-19. The government is doing its best to cope with the situation. I think to ease the boredom, you have a lot of opportunities during this time. I would suggest to do something that you would like to do, that you find interest in, that in this time you have the opportunity to utilize this time in nurturing your hobbies, to find out the gems within you, to discover the gems within you. And I am sure that these activities would be a precious moments for you. However, taking online classes are really challenging, but sometimes challenges create opportunities, and I'd like to utilize those opportunities to make our lessons effective, easy, so that it would all be convenient for you. However, we continued the discussion about noun in our two previous classes, and I would like to continue this discussion. I would like to analyze, describe, and present the rules that are rest. That means those are rest rules, and then we'll try finding some error of those sentences of noun. So let's go to the let's come to the new rule. After one of, either of, neither of, many of, a number of, only plural nouns are used. So if I use one of, the next noun will be the plural. Or suppose I use a number of, then the noun would be in plural form. Let's take an example. One of my firmest belief was that Ratan's father was innocent in the mishap. So I have written down that one of my firmest belief, I have used one of, then the noun follows my firmest belief. The very noun is belief. So as I have used the very phrase one of, I must use the corresponding noun in plural form. So this belief is an inappropriate. In this case, I must use s, and we must use, or you must add an s with belief. It must be in plural form. So the corrected sentence would be, one of my firmest beliefs was that Ratan's father was innocent in the mishap. Or suppose, let's take another example. A number of chiefs met for a conference. A number of chiefs met for a conference. As I have used the very phrase a number one, so I must use the corresponding noun in plural form. So I have used chiefs, not chief. So hope you all got it. Next, now let's come to the next point, next rule. If there is an hyphen between numeral adjective and a noun, suppose a compound word is formed in the very construction like a definite numeral adjective plus hyphen, and then comes noun. It makes a compound word, a numeral adjective, hyphen, and noun. And in that case, the noun would be used only in singular number. So any adjective, numeral adjective, hyphen, and noun. In this very structure, the noun would be in singular number. Let's take an example. The man fell from a 10-foot wall. So I have used numeral adjective 10, then I have used a hyphen, and then the very noun comes, foot. So this foot must be used only in singular number. We cannot write down here feet. As we have seen, there are 10 more than one. So our tenacity might come that we would use feet. No. We must not use here in plural number. We must use the singular noun only, as there is the very construction numeral adjective, hyphen, and then noun. So hope you got it. Now let's come to the next point. If there are several adjectives, and it might be 2, might be 3, but more than one, and those adjectives are connected with and. So suppose there is an adjective plus and there is another adjective. Suppose there are 2 adjectives. So there is a specific rule regarding singular or plural in case of using the article the. Suppose if we use the here only before the first adjective, then the very construction denotes that it is indicating some plural number. I am again repeating, if we use this article before the first adjective, then this very construction denotes that it is plural. But if we use the before every adjective, in that very construction, so there are 2 adjectives and we have used this article the before every adjective, then this construction becomes singular. Let's take an example. Shakespeare was very famous in the 16th and 17th centuries. We must use centuries. Why? Because we have used 2 adjectives, 16th and 17th, and we have used and. So the rule states that if we use the before the first adjective only, then the construction will be in plural form. So that's why you have used centuries. Okay, but if we use the before every adjective, the 16th and the 17th, if we write down the 16th and the 17th, the 16th and the 17th, then we must use century, because we have used the before 16th and before 17th. So whenever we are using the separately before every adjective, then the reconstruction becomes singular in form. Let's take another example. I think you will get more clear idea whenever you get another example. Suppose if I write down, there is no petrol palm in the first and last lens. First, last, there are two adjectives and has been used here in between. So as we have used this article before the first one, then we must use the corresponding noun in plural form. That's why we have used lens, not lane. But if we use the here and there is no petrol pump in the first and the last. There is no petrol pump in the first and the last. Then it becomes lane. We must not say in that case lanes. We must use in that case the very noun in singular form. So hope you have again got all the rules made clear. Now let's move on to the next rule with apostrophe with s. Apostrophe with s. Apostrophe with s. We cannot use apostrophe with s with non-living objects or non-living things. We can use apostrophe with s with only living things, only with time, distance, measurement, and some other cases where something is personified or in some dignified things. Let's take some example. We cannot say, suppose, table's legs, or we cannot say chair's legs, because table and chair, these are non-living objects. But we can say Ratan's books, because Ratan is a human being, living object, living being. So we can use apostrophe with s here in that case. We can also say in some time reference. Suppose we can use a day's leave, or we can say a week's holiday. In such cases we can say a 2-kilometer journey in case of distance, or we can say a meter length. Also we can use such apostrophe with s in some personified things or personified cases where something is treated as a human being, where something is personified. Suppose we can use nature's laws. So here we have personified the very object nature, treated as a human being. Also we can use apostrophe with s in some dignified things. We can say in courts, orders. We have learned we must not use order, we must use orders in our previous class. So court's orders, as court is a dignified thing that can carry verdict, that can provide verdict, it has a power. That's why in that cases, in court's orders or court summons, we can use apostrophe with s. Also we can use apostrophe with s in some popular or very familiar phrases. Not popular, some of them are also popular. In some familiar phrases, suppose we can say at his wit's end, or at a stone's throw. So in these cases we can use apostrophe with s. There are some uses also with apostrophe s with s. Suppose there is a hissing sound. Hissing sound, that means sh or s sound at the end of sentence, at the end of nouns. Then we should not use apostrophe with s there. If the nouns end with that sound, sh sound or s sound, we must not use apostrophe with s there. Here we would use with only the apostrophe sign. Only apostrophe sign, but s sound or s, the very letter s must not be used there. Let's take an example. For conscience sake, or for Jesus sake, or suppose roses fragrance. So in those cases where the very word ends with a hissing sound, s or sh sound, in those cases we would use only the apostrophe sign, but we must not use s with them. So we have used conscience, apostrophe sign only used. We have used Jesus or roses. In some other cases where possessive pronoun are used, I have given detail in the description box. So in possessive pronoun we must not use apostrophe with s. Suppose if we say this book is hers. This book is hers. We must not say her apostrophe s. No. We must not say this. We would omit the apostrophe sign. This book is hers. Or in the very official letters, we would use yours truly or yours faithfully. In those cases also, we must not use the apostrophe sign. We simply would say yours faithfully or yours truly. We must not use any apostrophe sign between R and S. There are some other cases also. Let's take some examples. In some titles, suppose Commander General's order. So in the title, in the case of title, suppose Commander General a title, then we would use apostrophe with s at the end of the title, Commander General. Or you can say sister in law's brother. So we have used apostrophe with s at the very end of the title, sister in law's brother or brothers, whatever it is. There are some other cases also, and in that case we must avoid, we should not use double apostrophe. We would try to avoid the construction of double apostrophe. Let's take an example. My brother's secretary's mother has expired. My brother's secretary's mother has expired. So I have used double apostrophe, mother's here, brothers and then secretaries. No, we must not use double apostrophe. We will try to avoid the construction of double apostrophe. So what can we do? We know very well that instead of apostrophe s, we can use of. So the very last one, Secretary's mother means the mother of the secretary. So we would use that very thing, that very relation at the very beginning. So we can say the mother of my brother's secretary has expired. So in such a way we have used only one apostrophe. So in such a way we have avoided the unwanted use of double apostrophe. We must, or we should try to avoid such constructions, and we can use the and of instead, and in such ways we can avoid double apostrophe construction. There are some other rules also that prevail, that are being in use. Suppose in case of else, we must use apostrophe with s with else. Suppose if I say this is not my book, rather it belongs to somebody else, then you can say this is somebody else's. So whenever we are referring to else, then we would use apostrophe s with else. Apostrophe with s with else, not somebody's else's. We must not use this is somebody's else. No, we would not say that. We would say somebody else's. Let's move on to the next rule that is also associated with apostrophe with s. If I say Ratan and Bimal's father. If I say Ratan and Bimal's father, then I am referring that Ratan and Bimal's father is the same person. So Ratan and Bimal are brothers. But if I say Ratan's and Bimal's, so I have used separate apostrophe with s, Ratan's and Bimal's, then I will have to use it in plural form, fathers, because they both are different. They are different persons. Whenever I am using separate apostrophe with s in possessive cases, then I am indicating that the person referred to are different. But whenever I am using single apostrophe with s in case of successive nouns, at the very end of the last noun, whenever I am using the very last apostrophe with s at the very last noun, that means that the number would be in singular form. And whenever I am using, we would use separate apostrophe with s after successive nouns, then the last noun would be, the father here, fathers would be in plural form. So we would keep in mind this construction, this thing. Okay, hope you all got cleared. Now let's move on to the next rule. Okay, now let's come to the how we can make plural from singular, but framing singular number. So generally, in framing plural numbers, we add s with the corresponding singular number. Generally we add s. Suppose cat, singular number, we add simply an s at the end of that singular number. We can make it plural. Cats. From dog we can make dogs. So there are numerous such examples. But let's take some exceptions. Or yes, we can add also yes. However, let's take some specific examples where some exceptions are, or where some specific rules are followed. There are some nouns which ends with s, ss, SH, CH, Z and X. And regarding framing plural number with these nouns where the nouns are ended or the nouns end with S, SS, SH or CH or Z or X, generally we add ES with them. Let's take an example. Suppose gas. The very word ends with S and it becomes gases, GASES. We add ES with it. Or bus, BUS, we add ES with it. Let's take another example where the nouns end with SS. Truss. If we frame plural from this word, then we would add TRUSSES. As the very word ends with SS, double S. Or suppose boss, BOSS. Simply we would add ES with it. Or class, it would be classes. Now let's come to some example with this noun, where the nouns end with SH. Such nouns we can say Mars, Whiz, Dis, or Rash. In these cases, where these nouns end with SH, we would simply add ES with them. So, the nouns would be Marses, Whizes, Disses, or Rashes. So, let's take the examples with CH, the nouns which end with CH. Suppose lunch or watch, these would become watches, lunches. As these nouns end with CH, we would simply add ES with them. Lunch, from lunch it would be lunches. From watch it would be watches. Watches. Or stitches, or witches, branches. These are some examples where these nouns end with CH and we would simply add ES with them. Let's take an example with, or some examples with Z, the nouns which ends with Z. Fizz, bleach, Z, gadgets. At the end of these nouns, we would simply add ES with them. Thus, we can frame plural from these nouns. And the last one are the nouns which end with X. Let's take some examples. Suppose box, fox. So it will be boxes, foxes. Okay, taxes. But there is an exception to this rule, which happens with this very particular case. The nouns whose pronunciation, we have taken examples of lunch, which, stitch, beach. So these nouns end with the sound, very sound, ch. But if in some nouns where we can see that the nouns end with ch, some nouns which end with ch, but it did not pronounce as cho, rather it pronounces to. It does not pronounce with cho, it pronounces to. Let's take an example, then the rule would be clearly clarified. Suppose we would take this particular example, monarch. Monarch, the very noun ends with ch, but it does not pronounce as cho, rather it pronounces as ko. Pronounces monarch, not k exactly. Sorry, ko. It pronounces k, monarch. In that case, we would simply add s, not yes. You would simply add s. There are some other nouns also which follow this rule. Let's take an example of epoch or stomach, S-T-O-M-A-C-H. In these nouns, as in spite of having ch at the end of these nouns, as these pronouns as ko, not cho, you would simply add with them to make them plural. Hope you all got my point. Let's take another rule of framing plural. Some other detailed list has been provided in the description box. Okay, there are some nouns which end with y and preceded by a consonant. There are some nouns where these nouns end with y and preceded by a consonant letter, and in those cases y is replaced with ies. Y is replaced with ies. Y is taken out and instead in that place ies are added. Let's take some example. Suppose battery, baby, city. So in these cases we see that there is y at the very end of these words, very end of these nouns, and there is another consonant. Consonant is before that. So in these cases, simply y is omitted, and in that place ies are put. So battery would be batteries. Ies. After r, y is replaced with ies. Baby will be babies. B-A-B, y is replaced with ies. Or in case of city, accordingly C-I-T-I-E-S. So these are some nouns, some rules. But then let's take another rule. Let's move on to another rule. There are some nouns where you see that there is a consonant or a vowel, and after that the very noun ends with f or fe. F or fe at the very end, and before that there is a vowel or consonant. There is a vowel or consonant. In those cases, the f or fe is replaced with ves. In that case, f or fe is replaced with ves. Let's take an example. Suppose half, HLF, half. We can see that there is f at the very end of the word, and there is l before that, a consonant. So in that case, f would be replaced with vs. So half would be halves. Or let's take another example. Knife, K-N-I-F-E. There is fe, and before that fe there is a vowel. I have said whether it might be a vowel or a consonant. We have seen that there is consonant. Now we can see that there is also a vowel, and after that vowel there is fe, or it might be f, and that fe would be that f or fe would be replaced with ves. So knife would be K-N-I, fe would be replaced with ves. So knife would be knives. But if there are two vowels, we have said that there is another vowel, one vowel. So knife, I is one vowel. But if in a case where we can see that there is f at the very end of the noun, and before that f or fe, before that f generally, there is two vowels, not one, two vowels. So in that case, we simply add s, not ves. Suppose spoof, there is f, and before that f we can see there is 2o. So in that case, simply we would add an s to make it plural, to frame it plural. There was one vowel only or a consonant before f or fe, but in this case there is two vowels, double o. So if we see two vowels and f, then we would simply add s, just one s. So hope there are some rules that I have tried to explain. Now let's move on to the next rule. So most nouns ending with o, are formed in plural by adding es to the singular form. So where we can find o, it ends with o. In that case, we would simply add es. Suppose buffalo, or we can take an example like potato. Yes, potato. So what would we do? We would add es, or cargo. Yes, cargo. Cargo. We would add es. Potato, potatoes. Buffalo, buffaloes. Or mango, mangoes. Okay, echoes, negro, from negro, negros. There are some nouns which we can make plural by two different means, by two different ways. Suppose, let's take some example. Hoof, dwarf. In some particular words, hoof, not all of the words. There are some specific words. Let's take two examples from them. So, in these cases, we can make plural by adding s or ves. So, from hoof, we can make hoops or hooves. Both are appropriate. Or from dwarf, we can make plural simply adding s, dwarfs or dwarfs. But generally, adding only one s is generally more accepted. Okay. Now let's move on to the next rule. In compound nouns, generally s is put after the main word, the main or the principal word. Suppose if we say maid servant, then here servant is the main word, then we would write down in plural form maid servants, not maid's servant. Okay, suppose son-in-law. Son-in-law. If we are to pluralize this compound word, then we would use s with son. Sons-in-law, not son-in-laws. Okay. Now let's move on to the next rule. There are some foreign words. There are some foreign nouns. There are some English nouns taken from foreign words. Generally, these nouns keep their original forms. Suppose there are some Latin words. And while framing them plural, generally their original form is retained. Suppose, let us take an example, iratum. From iratum, this singular number, the plural form would be irata. From iratum, there would be irata. Or suppose formula, the plural form would be formula. F-O-R-M-U-L-A-E, from formula, or index, indices. And there are some other Latin words also. Radius, from radius it's radi, from terminus it's termini, etc. There are some Greek words also. Let us take some examples. And there is generally a pattern that is followed here regarding Greek nouns. Suppose axis is singular and it is taken from Greek word. Generally is is transformed into es, so it becomes axis. From axis it becomes axis. For crisis, in the same way, is is transformed into es, crisis. CRISES. Or parenthesis, hypothesis. So basis from basis, basis. There are some Italian words also. Let's take an example. Italian words is bandit, and from bandit it becomes banditti. It is an Italian word, bandit, and from this Italian word, whenever we are going to make it plural, it becomes banditti. B-A-N-D-I-T-T-I. Besides, there are some French words also. Suppose French word, madam, M-A-D-A-M-E, madam, and whenever it is transformed into plural form, it becomes mesdames, M-E-S-D-A-M-E-S. It should be pronounced as mesdames. So there are some numerous other examples also, which I have provided in the description box. Probably you will be benefited from that information. However, there are some words which are singular and plural, and they take different meanings. I mean, one meaning in singular form and other meaning in plural form. There are some words whose singular form bears one meaning, while their plural form bears another meaning. Let's take some examples. Suppose abuse, A-B-U-S-E. Abuse means misuse. But while we say abuses, it means misdeeds or some bad habits, something like that. Bad habits, bad customs, bad habits or customs. Okay, if we say air, we know all air is a material. We take breath from air, so it is a material. But when we add s with it, that means airs, it means pride. We can say air is necessary for human life. But we can say do not put on airs. That means do not take pride, do not take brag. So there are some numerous other examples also. Advice, it is a counsel, we all advise, A-D-V-I-C-E, it's a noun form. But while we say advices, A-D-V-I-C-E-S, then it means information or bills. Suppose iron, a metal, we all know, but irons, it means fetters or chains. So there are some other examples also. Okay, now let's proceed to the next rule. The plural form of some nouns are found to be in two different forms, and they bear different meanings also. Let's elaborate. Suppose I have write down brother. This very word has two plural forms. One is brothers and another is brethren. Brothers means sons of the same parent. They are brothers, they have their siblings, they have blood relation. While brethren means people of the same community. People of the same community. There are some other examples also. Okay. There are some nouns which have two meanings in singular, while one is in plural. There are some nouns that the spelling becomes the same. Unlike here, where spelling becomes different. Spelling is same, but it has two meanings in singular form. But in plural form, it is only one, having one form. Let's take an example. Suppose if I write down light, then it means a lamp, or it might mean also radiance. So we can find that there are two meanings in singular form, and while it becomes plural, then it means the lamps. It means them lamps. In the same way, suppose we say practice, it bears two meanings in singular number. One is habit and other is exercise for a profession, exercise of a profession. While practices is the habits, are the habits in the plural form. So we see here that there are two meanings in singular form. It can be vice versa also. So one meaning in singular. Some nouns are there which have one meaning in singular but two meanings in plural. Let's take some examples. Suppose if we say color, it means hue. It means hue, the color, hue. I am wearing a pink colored shirt, so it means hue. But while we frame it into plural, it bears two meanings. One is hues and one is hues, colors, and the other is the flag of a regiment. Flag of a regiment or a community. In the same way, suppose if we say custom, it means habit. But if we say customs, it has two meanings. One is customs, habits, and other is the tax or something that is levied for import. The tax or something that is levied from import. In the same way, suppose if we take quarter, Q-U-A-R-T, it means 1/4, fourth part. While making it plural, we will find two meanings. One is 1/4 parts and the other is a space for lodgings or a building for lodgings. So here we can see that there is one meaning in singular but two meanings in plural. Okay. Now let's move on to the next rule, the very basic rule. We can find that there are some nouns where vowels are changed. Vowels are changed. Generally, O is transformed into E or I. O is transformed into E or I. Suppose if I write man in plural number, it becomes men. If we write on foot in plural number, it becomes feet. So here A is transformed into E, double O in foot is transformed into double E. There are some other examples, very popular examples. From tooth, it is transformed into teeth. From mouse, it's mice. From louse, it's lice. And there are some other numerous examples also. Okay. Now let's move on to the last rule of our part. Besides describing these rules, I have added some other points also in my description box. Please find it. If two nouns, generally these are placed in subjects, in the place of subject, generally two nouns, suppose there is one noun and another noun, are connected with. So these two nouns are connected with, besides, along with, together with, in addition to, or as well as. If we find the structure, very structure, that there are two nouns and these two nouns are connected with either of these, it might be besides or along with, together with, in addition to, or as well as. If we find that, then the corresponding verb will be according to the first one. The corresponding verb, whether the verb would be in singular form or in plural form, that will be completely dependent on what form we have used in the first noun. If the first noun is singular, then the verb would be accordingly in singular form. If the first noun is in plural, then the verb would be plural. Let's take an example. Suppose if I write the teacher as well as students are visiting the place. So here two nouns, one is the teacher and another is students, are connected with as well as. Then our concentration will be on the first noun, whether it is singular or plural. The teacher, very word is singular, so the corresponding verb will be in singular form. So we cannot write here are. We must write here in accordance with the tense used here. We must write here is, as the teacher is, the very first noun is in singular form. Hope you all got an idea. I have tried my best to provide you the basic information, some pieces of information to you regarding noun. In our next class, we try to find out some errors. Generally, these are very much applied in error correction. So we will practice there in our next class. So up to this, stay safe, stay well. We are meeting again. Thank you.